Stand up for yourself, because Spirit has your back on today's Oberon Divination. Greetings everyone, I am Oberon, Lord of the Underworld and consort to the most lovely Hecate. Thank you for joining me on today's Elemental Synastry reading. It is a divination technique which was gifted to me by the goddess upon our sacred marriage. It involves the tarot, the 5 elements, and astrology. Now this is a timeless collective reading, so take what resonates and discard what doesn't. And as always, make sure to use tarot to confirm what you already intuitively understand and not take it as literal advice. So I draw a tarot card to see what is influencing each of the elements. And the first element we have is Spirit, which is represented by the bell. Okay, so we have the inverted 5 of Swords. Now, generally in the upright position, this signifies some type of a defeat. However, in the inverted position, it could be a vindication. It could be that in spirit, it is confirming, let's say, an injustice which was done to us, and now it is come to light, and we're vindicated with what's been happening. This could be involving a coworker, perhaps a bad situation at work which you were falsely accused of. It could be through family. Perhaps maybe some people were going behind your back, even possibly in a relationship. Something to that nature. So you're being vindicated on a spiritual level. You are being recognized for not being that person that others have thought of you. And yeah, this will be interesting to see how it turns out. Let's consult the astrology die. So the astrology die can be either advice or a likely outcome. And what we have is Neptune in Taurus in the first house. Okay, here, let me move this stuff around. Okay, so I roll once for the house, and then I roll a second time for the decan. All right, another one. All right, so we're in the first decan of Taurus. Neptune in the first decan of Taurus in the first house. All right, so that first decan of Taurus is that 5 of Pentacles energy. And yeah, it suggests that, especially with Neptune influencing that, it suggests that we, especially in the first house, we have been feeling very destitute in what our sense of self-worth is. We have been feeling sort of in this spiritual poverty, a type of low self-esteem. And that would make sense. We have this 5 of Swords energy, which is finally, we are being vindicated and knowing that we're justified in who we are and how we feel. But, But a lot of that came from, a lot of that destroyed our self-esteem. A lot of it destroyed how, being able to look ourselves in the mirror. This seems like a situation where it's almost like we couldn't look ourselves in the mirror for a while, and we had to really dig deep and really go within ourselves, as suggested by Neptune, to really rediscover who we are. And yeah, that's quite a blow to our self-esteem. But generally in those types of situations, especially with this being possibly being triangulated by the people around you, sometimes we need to have everything stripped from us to really discover who we are. So the good thing is we're finally being recognized. We're finally coming out of that slump and being able to say, hey, this is me. I can stand on my own 2 feet. I am worthy and I matter, essentially what it is. Yeah, let's move along. Okay, so the next element after spirit is the element of fire, and it's represented by the wand. Fire represents our drives and ambitions, and it is a very focused and directed energy, which is why it is represented by the wand. Okay, so what is influencing the element of fire, love? All right, inverted Seven of Pentacles. Okay, so yeah, well, that's another kind of blow to our self-esteem. So the inverted Seven of Pentacles can represent that maybe we have given up too soon. Maybe we lost patience in our endeavors, especially with it influencing the element of fire. So this is sort of a feeling where we are taking a very defeatist attitude. But the lesson to that is also, if we knew that we gave up on something too soon, perhaps it's also time to revisit it, to know that if we just would have stuck with it a little bit longer, maybe we could have had a better outcome. Yeah, let's see what the astrology die have to say to that. Okay, so we have Saturn in Virgo in the 4th house. Wow. All right. Oh, I'm sorry, in Scorpio, not Virgo. Let me re-roll for the decan. Okay, so we are 9. Yeah, okay. This is starting to make a lot of sense. So, with this being in the 4th house, it could suggest our home, it could suggest our family life. And this 3rd decan of Scorpio is the Lord of Illusionary Success. So it's that sort of daydream card. It's a 7 of Cups energy. And with that particular energy, we could kind of, it's really easy to kind of have our head in the clouds. It's really easy to be lost in our daydreams, to be probably fantasizing a little bit too much about our outcomes and not taking enough action. And that would also make a lot of sense because, we have that inverted 7 of Cups energy, which is about giving up too soon. And so I would suggest, or it would suggest that that with it being in the 4th house in Cancer, perhaps a family member was the one who was being, let's say, conspiratorial and negative and placing that doubt, making us feel defeated in this energy of spirit. And with Saturn being that guiding planet right there, it would suggest that we needed to, Saturn is a planet of boundaries and discipline. And so it would suggest that we needed to set up our boundaries with those who are probably a little bit too close to us. Yeah, this is what I'm really getting, like maybe perhaps a condescending parent or a sabotaging significant other type of situation, something related to the home life, something related to the people closest to us. They didn't have our back, and they instilled that sense of doubt in us. They instilled that they were the ones to help reduce our sense of self-worth and our self-esteem. They could have been very jealous. They could have seen the light within what we had to offer, as recognized by Neptune as well. And so with Saturn influencing that, it's saying to essentially reestablish those boundaries, and really embrace the inner self to be able to to proceed again. You know, reignite those passions, reignite those drives and ambitions. You know, you or whoever this resonates with, you know, you're worth it. And I think that especially with this vindicated energy and spirit, it's suggesting that, yeah, you know, we're coming out of a phase where we do realize that we are worth it. We do realize that, yes, we were perhaps manipulated by those who were closest to us. You know, the envy got the better of someone else, and they planted the seeds of doubt in us. So, yeah, let's move along and see what the other elements have to say about that. So we have the element of air next, which is represented by the pentacles, or I'm sorry, not the pentacles, by the swords. And it represents our intellectual endeavors, our communication, especially with it influencing the throat chakra. So what do we need to communicate? What do we need to learn? What is influencing the element of air? Inverted Knight of Swords. Okay, so yeah, this could suggest that that we try to take a sort of the easy way out, the quick way out. Maybe, yeah, we didn't quite. We didn't quite learn what we needed to learn, or we skimmed over a lot of things. Or another thing is that we just didn't say what we needed to say. And that would make a lot of sense, especially, you know, if we have someone very closest to us who's influencing our decisions in a negative sense. Maybe we didn't have the confidence to stick up for ourselves, especially with Saturn saying, you know, it's time to set up some boundaries. And so yeah, we didn't feel the need to, or feel confident enough to accurately express what we needed and to say what we needed to say. And of course that did cause a lot of confusion. It caused a lot of it caused us to not see things with the clarity that we needed to see it with. It caused us to not understand those things with the clarity that we needed to understand it with. And of course, you know, the element of air influencing the throat chakra, we were not able to adequately express what we needed to express. This person in our family, it could have been, it could have most likely been a parent or someone that we viewed as having, let's say, an elevated status amongst us within the family hierarchy. And yeah, we just didn't say what we needed to say. All right, let's see what the astrology die have to say to that. Okay, so we have Uranus in Gemini in the 8th house. All right. And let's re-roll for the decan. Okay, we got 6. Yeah, so we have that middle decan of Gemini. And okay, yeah. Okay, so that middle decan of Gemini is the Lord of Despair and Cruelty. It's the 9 of Swords energy, and yeah, it's basically, you know, it's those sleepless nights. It's that sort of mental turmoil, and that would make a lot of sense. I mean, you know, here we're not saying what we need to say, and that's also an air energy. So we have a lot of this air energy, which is basically sort of it's sort of being repressed. It's not being adequately expressed. And with Uranus being that planet there, also, you know, god of the sky, it's essentially saying, we need something to come in and to shake things up. We need a rebellion in how we approach things. And that's really the only way to kind of shake ourselves of this Nine of Swords energy. It's also in the 8th house, the house of Scorpio. And so, it's essentially calling for not only rebellion, but for a lot of transformation. So for us to really express what we need, to really, again, go back and say that we are worth it, and to not give up, there has to be a huge transformation within us. There has to be something which we have to know at the very core of our being that we cannot continue as we have done in the past. Because where did it lead us to? It led us to us not saying what we needed to say. It led to us repressing what we needed to say, and ultimately, we're the ones who are suffering for not being who we need to be for ourselves. And again, go back, look at some of the other readings. We have Saturn saying to set up boundaries. Boundaries are a very healthy way of being able to rediscover our individuality, and to be able to rediscover our voice too. And again, with this inverted 5 of Swords there in Spirit, it is essentially, it's essentially reconfirming what we already know, and it's saying, yes, we are worth it. Go for it. You have a voice. You have something to say. Don't give up easily. You have it within you. Just keep on carrying through. So Spirit's there. Spirit's guiding us, and it's saying keep on going. Keep on keeping on. Let's move along to the next element, Pentacles, which is the element of Earth. Has to deal with our spiritual material wealth, our acquisitions, I guess you could even say sort of the knowledge that we've acquired and the lessons we've learned. So, what is influencing Spirit? The Tower. Okay. Now, just as, this is kind of calling for a Tower moment and a huge transformation, so we are also calling for a Tower moment, a moment of transformation or restructuring in even our Pentacles, in perhaps our finances, perhaps our spiritual views. But there needs to be some type of moment where all of that needs to come crashing down. A lot of this is about a lot of transformation. It's about a lot of change. This could suggest even a redistribution of finances. Maybe part of the reason why this person here is influencing our drives and ambitions so much, and why we're not saying what we need to say, is because this person is also heavily tied into our finances. And if they have too much of a hand in our finances, they also have too much of they have too much control in our decision making too. So this is probably suggesting, a restructuring of finances, a restructuring of beliefs. Just as in finances, perhaps maybe, I'm kind of getting this image of someone who's more in line with like a traditional religion, and perhaps the person who resonates with this is let's say something more alternative, and they kind of have the attitude of you can't believe that because this is what it's supposed to be, and this is the way things are. And it stifles the voice, it stifles the drives. Really, to get the energy of Pentacles flowing, it's really about freeing up all of this stuff. your spirit and your ability to make money, or I should say your ability to flow with spirit and your ability to make money, are kind of one and the same. And so, you know, when those are blocked, and when our energies are blocked from being able to be who we are, we definitely start to become hindered in how we manage our lives. Okay, let's move along. See what the astrology die have to say about that. Saturn in Capricorn in the 5th house. Wow, okay. All right. So, let's re-roll for the decan. Okay, first decan. All right. So we're in the first decan of Capricorn. That is that Two of Pentacles energy. That's the Lord of harmonious change. That is about trying to balance out our lives, basically. We're kind of stuck in a decision. What I think is really interesting about this, with it being in the 5th house, is, essentially, it's like we want to bust out. We want to embrace that King of Swords energy that represents Leo, except we are being held back. And so it's, this Tower card is definitely saying, a lot of things need to change so that we can fully embrace our powers and our energies. And again, there's Saturn also there saying, which also influences Capricorn. So it's saying, yes, be yourself, but also to proceed with caution, proceed with prudence, and to proceed with discipline. This is going to have to be a Tower moment, but also a very, I guess you could say, controlled demolition in a sense. It has to be very structured in the approach to be able to bring about that change within that Tower moment. And of course, it deals with either our finances or perhaps even our spiritual beliefs, and those types of things you generally don't want to gamble on, which is why it's the energy of Pentacles. It's Earth. It's more slow moving. So it is saying, yes, embrace your individuality, but also keep a level head about it, especially with that Two of Pentacles energy in the first decan of Capricorn. We do have to juggle our responsibilities with our pleasures, I guess you could say that. But yeah, take a sensible, balanced approach as we need to take a sensible, balanced approach as we are exploring this change, as we are having our Tower moment. And again, whatever it is, Spirit has our back. We are being vindicated. We know that, we've kept ourselves down too long. Okay, let's move along to the last element. And that is the element of water, which is represented by the cups. Water is our emotions, our intuition, linked to a lot of our psychic abilities too. So, what is influencing the element of water, love? Judgment, okay. A lot of Scorpio energy, a lot of Pluto energy, a lot of need for change, a lot of, So even on an emotional level, we know that we need to change. A deep emotional level. There needs to be a rebirth in our approach to life. And even intuitively, we understand that that fact as well. Let's see what the astrology die have to say to that. It definitely seems to just be reconfirming what we've already been talking about. Okay, so Mercury in Leo in the 8th house. So again, wow, we got Pluto in, or I should say Judgment, which is represented by Pluto in astrology. We have all that energy in the 8th house. A lot of transformative energy. First decan. Okay, let me line this up real quick. All right. Okay. So, yeah, a lot of Leo energy too. So, let's see. Okay. So we know that on an emotional level, we need that change. We need to be able to have this sort of complete transformation of our sense of identity on a very deep level. And yeah, with Mercury being that guiding planet, Mercury in those particular instances, this kind of reminds me of Chthonic Mercury, the Mercury of the underworld. It's really about being able to counsel our deepest, darkest emotions. It's really about searching those feelings. And that Leo energy, let's see. Yeah, we got a first decan Leo energy. That is the Lord of Strife. That could also suggest that, we may have some internal conflicts with our own sense of identity too. And it's really about identifying those conflicts so that we can be able to truly understand and embrace who we are, to truly be able to go through this transformative change. Let's see. We have... Yeah, and these two are actually in conjunction. So, in both of those, this... Yeah, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So that Knight of Swords, with that inverted Knight of Swords, we had that energy blocking us. We weren't saying what we need to say. Well, part of the reason why we didn't know what we needed to say is because we kind of don't know who we are on a very deep emotional level. And if you don't know who you are, well, it can be rather confusing to know, where to go from there, how to approach situations. Let's see. Okay, there's no conjunction there. Yeah, and of course, like I said, like with that first decan of Leo, it's the Lord of Strife. There's a lot of conflict in our emotions. There can even be a lot of conflict in our intuition. We could be doubting our intuition. But really, with all this Scorpio energy and all this transformative energy, it's really asking us to really look deep within ourselves and to really search, really be able to find and rediscover who we are so that we are able to speak our truth. This could be even, related to how we even view our life, the purpose of our life, by understanding how we view death as well. Nothing will change our perspective quickly on living our life than, let's say having either an encounter with death or being able to contemplate our own mortality in some way. But that's pretty much the energy that it's calling, to be able to free up all this. And here, let's get some of this stuff out of the way. Okay, let's see what else we may have. Yeah, so we have let's see, 30. We have a trine between spirit and air, or I'm sorry, earth. So that would kind of amplify those energies a little bit more. Let's see. Not quite there yet. Okay. So we have a trine which is formed between these two elements, spirit and earth, and we have a square formed between earth and air. Okay, so yeah, essentially we have this energy amplifying the Tower moment. So like I said, Pentacles can also represent spirit, not just material wealth, but also spiritual wealth. And it feels like this vindication, this energy of vindication, is accelerating us to this Tower moment. It's basically saying, you know, just go for it, just do it. And it feels like this earth energy is really the key to kind of getting that to go down. It's really the key to unlocking and to kind of getting all of this action started. And what's really blocking it is this square with the Knight of Swords. So yeah, definitely. And again, what's in conjunction with the Knight of Swords? We have this water element right there, the Judgment. So wow, it would almost seem like, yeah, the deep emotional level is really going to be what's going to kind of make the dominoes fall, so to speak. So in recognizing who we truly are, that'll help to free up this energy to be able to speak our truth, the energy of air. And once that square is solved, it'll help to amplify the energy of the Tower and spirit. And then of course, you know, once we start to see results from all that, well, guess what? We also know to what we have our drives and ambitions sort of restored. Both of these are influenced by Saturn too. They're not quite in conjunction. They're a little bit outside, but they're pretty close. Let's see, what else? Yeah, so really this entire reading revolves around the transformation within ourselves and tapping into our deepest emotions to really get this whole cycle kicked off. And you know, once it does kick off, it's going to free up all the rest of these energies. And again, Spirit has our back on this. It's saying that that as we begin to do this, we will see, we will have our confidence restored. We will find our sense of self again. Let's see. Okay, well, I think I'm going to take that over to the extended reading where I'll be using the Spirit Oracle deck. If you're interested in that, head on over to my Discord. That's where I post all the extended readings. It is free for the first 100 people who sign up for that, and afterwards it'll be available only through a monthly subscription. So again, thanks for joining this Elemental Synastry reading. If you resonate with this reading, make sure to like, subscribe, or perhaps leave a comment and let us all know how you resonated with this reading. Again, thank you all, and may Hecate illuminate your path and guide you at the crossroads.